Good morning.
Good morning.
Welcome to First Parish in Framingham. I'm David Ortmeyer. I'm a member of the Board of Assessors, a member of the choir, and also on the Canvas team this year. I use he, him, his pronouns, and I will be your worship associate this morning. And I have been in this church for 40 years, 4 decades. And I have never been a worship associate. This is the first time. I've done just about everything else. But there's always something new here at First Parish. And as Aaron says, it's part of my journey here. So here I am. So First Parish in Framingham is a welcoming congregation. We celebrate and welcome people of all sexual orientations, races, ages, gender identities, abilities, and beliefs. We welcome you if you are joining us here in the meeting house or on Zoom, or if you're watching this service at a later time. Whoever you are, whoever you love, and wherever you are on life's journey, you are welcome here. Unitarian Universalism is a progressive, inclusive faith guided by moral principles such as the worth and dignity of all love. We draw inspiration from world religions and philosophies, science, history, and the arts. So I draw your attention to the announcements in the order of service. And immediately following our service this morning, you're invited to join us at our coffee hour, which is across the way in Scott Hall. For the safety and comfort of all, please remember to keep your masks on at all times when you are inside a First Parish building, unless you are actively eating or drinking. And please also turn your phones and other devices that might make noise to their quietest settings. And finally, I offer this. Since 1701, people just like you have gathered in this spot seeking peace and seeking meaning. We come here to rest or to be recharged, to be challenged or affirmed. We work to support deeper connections, individual growth, and sustaining and maintaining this beloved community. So you belong here. Maybe only for the next hour, but we hope for longer. But you belong here, and we are really happy to have you with us. So I now invite you to settle into this space. Take a comfortable breath in and out, and continue to take a few more comfortable breaths over the next few moments. And begin to let go of what you need to let go of to be more fully present to yourself, to one another, and the sacred in this time and place. A flame within a chalice is a primary symbol of the Unitarian Universalist faith tradition. And to symbolize the light of reason, the warmth of community, and the flame of hope, it is our tradition to begin our worship by kindling the flame of our chalice. So I light our chalice with these words. We light our chalice this morning with our hearts turned to the work of our congregation. We have inherited this institution from 10 generations of people who believed in the power of human beings to bear love into the world. We carry this tradition for those who find comfort, inspiration, and joy within its real and virtual spaces. We tend the spark of imagination and hope for the world to come. So now please rise in body or spirit to sing our opening hymn. It's number 131, Love Will Guide Us. And please remain standing for our sung affirmation and spoken affirmation afterwards.
And just one additional direction on the hymn. We will all sing the first 2 verses, then the choir will sing verses 3 and 4, which are not in the hymnal, and then we'll come back around and sing the final one.
Love will guide us, peace has tried us, hope inside us will lead the way on the road from greed to giving. Love will guide us through the dark night. If you cannot sing, is the doctrine of this church. The quest of truth is its sacrament, and service is its prayer. To dwell together in peace, to seek knowledge and freedom, to serve all life with compassion, to the end that all souls shall grow into harmony with the divine. This is our great covenant, one with another and with our God.
You may be seated. All right, good. Sarah is coming down. That is wonderful. This morning we have a new member ceremony. Indeed, absolutely. I'm the Reverend Aaron Stockwell-Wiseman. I'm the senior minister. I use he, him pronouns, and we will get started with welcoming 5 new members today. Now, being a member of this congregation is both simple and complex. It's simple because all that is required is that you commit to the ideals of this congregation and that you put your name in a membership book. But it's complex because of what signing that membership book means. It means that you have chosen to pursue a spiritual path, following it into the depths of life. It means that you have become a part of a liberal religious community that affirms the dignity and value present in all humanity. It means that you have entered into a religious movement with a centuries-long history of enriching our world with the values of freedom, reason, and tolerance. I hope that being a member of this congregation will bring you joy, happiness, and fulfillment. It is a wonderful place. But remember that thing that I said earlier about it being simple to commit to the ideals of this congregation? This congregation, as are all congregations, is made up of human beings who are imperfect. So, I hope that at some point this congregation might disappoint you as well. I think that you might truly become a member of this congregation when it disappoints you and you stay in relationship with it. Our congregational ideals are challenging ideals to live into. In a way, our congregation's ideals are a promise about how we will treat one another. Remember this: human beings are promise-making, promise-keeping, promise-breaking, and promise-renewing creatures.
I invite forward Kevin Stearns, Oscar and Erin Lilienthal, and Judy Lutzy. Elizabeth McDonald, who was christened in this church at the age of 4, was also joining as a member, but she's on Zoom. Fellow Unitarian Universalist, we welcome you this morning to a great freedom and an unequal responsibility that comes with this freedom. To be a complete member is to enter into the life of the congregation, to live its values, and to support it with your time, your talents, and your treasures. Above all, we are challenged to put conviction to work. In joining this congregation, do you embrace this freedom? Do you rise to this challenge?
Now let us each rise in body or spirit to say the responsive words, which are number 728, "Blessed are those." I think, no, you don't have it, okay. Well, I have it here. So if you will read what is in italics and I will read what is in the regular Roman type, that will be just fine. Blessed are those who yearn for deepening more than escape, who are not afraid to grow in spirit. Blessed are those who take seriously the bonds of community, who regularly join in celebration and learning, who come as much to minister as to be ministered unto. Blessed are those who bring their children, who invite their friends to come along, to join in fellowship, service, learning, and growth. Blessed are those who support the church and its work by their regular, sustained, and generous giving, and who give of themselves no less than their money. Blessed are those who know that the church is often imperfect, yet rather than harbor feelings of anger or disappointment, bring their concerns and needs to the attention of the church leaders. Blessed are those who, when asked to serve, do it gladly, who recognize that change is brought about through human meaning, who through the work of committees and stay till the end. Blessed are those who speak their minds in meetings, who can take and give criticism, who keep alive their sense of humor. Blessed are those who know that the work of church is the transformation of society, who have a vision of beloved community transcending the present, and who do not shrink from controversy, sacrifice, or change. Blessed are they indeed.
I present to the congregation our newest members. Welcome them as your fellow journeyers in the life of the sacred space and our undeniable ministry together. Our new members have already signed the membership book, and we honor your membership in our congregation with a gift from the church and good wishes from us all.
And now we will sing our children and teachers to religious exploration.
Go down in peace, go down.
In our community, there is often great joy and great sorrow. We set aside this time because we know that a joy shared can feel as though joy is expanded, and a sorrow shared can feel as though someone is lifting a burden. Just a reminder that you can write down your joys or sorrows in this book, which normally lives at the back of the sanctuary, or you can submit those joys or sorrows online. As we share these joys or sorrows, we also intersperse in hymn number 1002. The lyrics are pretty simple. Comfort me, sing with me, and speak with me. We begin with this sorrow from Marianne O., who writes that her sister Gigi is in pain. She had her hip replaced on Friday. Let us now sing the first verse of Comfort Me. Comfort me, comfort me, comfort me, O my soul. Comfort me, comfort me, comfort me, O my soul. We share this joy also from Marianne, who writes that the chancel flowers this morning are from Ruth and Larry Decker in memory of their granddaughter. I'll move them to Scott Hall after the service. You're invited to take home a flower. We share this joy from Dave D., who writes, I got a call from an old friend, glad that he wasn't lost to COVID. We'll be having lunch on Monday. And then this joy from Larry D. Great joy that Larry has donated $5,000 from Ruth Decker's estate to go towards the solar panels on top of the parish house. We are so grateful for your generosity, Larry. So let us sing the second lyric, which is Sing With Me. Sing with me, oh my soul. Sing with me, oh my soul. And we light one final candle this morning for all of the joys and the sorrows which remain too great to share and remain unspoken. We sing the final verse of Comfort Me. The lyric is Speak for Me. Now is the time that we go a little bit deeper in our time for contemplation, meditation, and prayer. I invite you to return your attention to that breath from the beginning of the service. Feel whatever is supporting you, a chair, a bed, a wall, a pew cushion. Feel then your connection to the earth beneath you. Feel your connection as well to this beloved community, the people sitting to your left and your right. O Spirit of life and love, named and unnamed, but who calls us each by our true first name, which is beloved, I give thanks for this day, for this community, for new members and old members. those who have been a part of this community for a few days and a few decades. I give thanks. I give thanks too for the leaders and staff of this congregation. I give thanks too for the children in our midst, adding their voices to this space. I give thanks for the joys of this congregation, for generosity, and for reconnection. We know it didn't have to be this way. We know too that there is sorrow in our community. People are ill, people are mourning. Friends and loved ones face pain from surgery and illness. Let us each find ways to reach out and lend a helping hand. Oh Spirit, you know this already, but there is also much injustice in our world. Laws are being passed across our nation against gender identity and against gender-affirming care. May we each work to bend the arc of the universe towards justice. It doesn't happen by wishing, it happens by loving. It happens by moving into action. Let us too work to bring peace to all of the war-torn parts of our world. And from time to time, we make mistakes, we slip up, we fumble with our words. Sometimes we fall flat on our faces. Because we are breathing, we still have a chance to say, I'm sorry. How can I do better? We are loved and lovable, not in spite of these imperfections, but because of them. I say these words and do all things for love's sake. Let us now take a few more moments of quiet in this house and with this gathered community. Time that you might pray or meditate or simply do nothing. That's good too. I'll keep track of the time. May it be so.
Good morning. My name is Rebecca Crawford, and I use she, her pronouns. And I've been a member of First Parish for nearly 15 years. And I have served as a volunteer, then as a staff member, and now again as a volunteer, this time as the chair of the Canvas Committee. It is March, and therefore it is Canvas time. And when I look out at this cherished community, and when I walk the halls of our parish house and of this church, what I see everywhere, at every place I turn, is the manifestation of the power of love. That is the thread that I trace back into our past and the one that I see slipping into our future, and that I and you have the opportunity to shape right now. At First Parish in Framingham, we love this world so incredibly deeply in so very, very many ways, with song and art, with flowers, with solar panels, with food and diapers, with bedside visits and rides to appointments, with lifelong friendships and folks that challenge us, with protest signs and the introspective work of untangling our own unconscious biases, and always with the commitment to love a little bit more and a little bit more deeply. Over the next several weeks, you will be invited into conversation and discussion, and I ask that you join deeply with that power of love in opening your hearts, in making a pledge to support this incredible community. I can think of no other place in this world where my money can do so much good. That is why First Parish in Framingham, in my life and in my family, ranks among my top philanthropic priorities. And I hope that it will too in yours. I am so very, very grateful to First Parish in my life, and I give thanks to our ancestors and to you and to the way that you bring the power of love to life every day, for today and for many, many tomorrows. This morning, our offering will now be joyfully given and gratefully received. And I can't wait to have conversations with you over the next couple of weeks.
Our reading this morning is a poem by Ada Limon entitled Dead Stars. Out here, there's a bowing, even the trees are doing. Winter's icy hand at the back of all of us. Black bark, slick yellow leaves, a kind of stillness that feels so mute it's almost in another year. I am a hearth of spiders these days, a nest of trying. We point out the stars that make Orion as we take out the trash, the rolling containers, a song of suburban thunder. It's almost romantic as we adjust the waxy blue recycling bin until you say, man, we should really learn some new constellations. And it's true. We keep forgetting about Antlia and Centaurus and Draco and Lacerta and Hydra and Lyra and Lynx. But mostly we're forgetting that we're dead stars too. My mouth is full of dust and I wish to reclaim the rising, to lean in the spotlight of streetlight with you, toward what's larger within us, toward how we were born. Look, we're not unspectacular things. We've come this far, we've survived this much. What would happen if we decided to survive more, to love harder? What if we stood up with our synapses and flesh and said no, no to the rising tides? If we stood for the many mute mouths of the sea or of the land? What would happen if we used our bodies to bargain for the safety of others or for the earth? If we declared a clean night, if we stopped being terrified? If we launched our demands into the sky, made ourselves so big that people could point to us with the arrows they make in their minds, rolling their trash bins out after all of this is over.
Out here, there's a bowing, even the trees are doing. Winter's icy hand at the back of all of us. Black bark, slick yellow leaves, a kind of stillness that feels so mute, it's almost in another year. I am a hearth of spiders these days, a nest of trying. We point out the stars that make Orion as we take out the trash, the rolling containers, a song of suburban thunder. It's almost romantic as we adjust the blue, waxy recycling bin until you say, man, we should really learn some new constellations. And it's true, we keep forgetting about Antlia, Centaurus, Draco, Lacerta, Hydra, Lyra, and Lynx. But mostly we're forgetting that we are dead stars too. My mouth is full of dust and I wish to reclaim the rising, to lean into the spotlight of streetlight with you, toward what's larger within us, toward how we were born. Look, we are not unspectacular things. We've come this far, survived this much. What would happen if we decided to survive more, to love harder? What if we stood with our synapses and flesh and said no? No to the rising tides, stood for the many mute mouths of the sea, of the land? What would happen if we used our bodies to bargain for the safety of others, for Earth? What if we declared a clean night, if we stopped being terrified, if we launched our demands into the sky, made ourselves so big people could point to us, the arrows they make in their minds, rolling their trash bins out after all of this is over? I want to tell you about a group of people. A very long time ago, the mortal beings who lived in a certain geographic area had to belong to a certain group. They had to attend hours-long gatherings at their house of gathering every seventh day, each week. They came because of fear that some unseen force might strike them down. The people in that certain community were required to pay from their income to support that community. No different decision could be made. Now, over time, there were disagreements. At one point, they split into two groups. One believing that the unseen force was actually three unseen forces. The other believing that it was just one unseen force. So they split. At that point, it was no longer required officially to be a part of this group, though perhaps for some reasons people kept their allegiances. Now, over the years, this group paid various elected leaders to summon wisdom from the ancient texts. Over time, fewer people started attending. Oh, they would still often sing songs on certain melodies and themes, and those songs changed. There even used to be cannibalistic rituals. Now those are few and far between these days. Indeed, in some houses of gathering, it rarely happens. People used to go to this gathering of this community every week. Sometimes they would even go to pour water on the heads of younglings as a way to say, we too will be parents of this young creature. Various points in time, the house of gathering of this group changed. One day, sky electricity caught the house of gathering on fire. They had to wait for years to rebuild it. The mortal beings still came together on every seventh day to talk about how they were good and bad, and sang various melodies on the theme and put currency into a metallic container to ensure that they would be able to do it again on the following seventh days. Now, the mortal beings of this community, they were awesome. They worked to teach the next generation the tenets of the group. They work to make sure that when other mortal beings are sick, they have the nutrients that they need. This group also teaches its younglings about methods of reproduction and also how to prevent it from happening. They work to make sure that when mortal beings are now just beings, a gathering to talk about the person who passed can be held. They do careful work. Recently, this group of mortal beings advocated for a way to process the discarded objects of that community to be reused. They check in on one another. There's a lot of ambivalence in this community these days on which ancient stories they draw on. There's ambivalence too about the belief in that unseen force. Some see no need for it, others do. When they see wrongs happening in the world, they work to change it. For a long time, this particular group had a special way of raising some currency. They would harvest a certain cultivar present in the trees in that community, and then they would encrust it in gluten with some spices, and they would sell it. But the local government wanted to have a say in how they would sell those pastries, and it was a lot of work as well. Then there was a great disease that swept the land 3 complete rotations of the sun ago. The very thing that this group depended on, gatherings and community, were actually found to be dangerous. And so for a time, they fashioned 2D versions of themselves. And that was fine for a while. And then they moved back to gathering in their house of gathering once again. Now, there was significant anxiety in this group. People aren't attending like the way they used to. People have moved away to help raise their children's children, or people move away because the ones that raise them, are ready to take care of them. But still, people bring their young beings to church. Oh, I think I dropped something there. They fret over if enough of the gold that they collected will cover the shelter of the leader of the gathering, will cover the food that the gathering needs, will cover the repairs needed to the house of gathering, and keep the fires burning at the hearth at the center ablaze. They continue to hear thematic talks and join in melodies on the theme. They continue to place currency in that metallic plate. Why, even today, I heard 5 new members joined that community. They continue through the power of love because they believe that love is the doctrine of this church. Friends, if at any point you thought, I want to go to there, when I described that community, friends, you are already there. I have just told you your story. I have described somewhat obliquely our church. Throughout it all, strangely described perhaps over the years, it is the power of love, and it is through the power of love that it remains. Now, we each have a reason that we are a part of this church. For some, it is because our parents gave birth to us and we were dedicated here. For others, it was a place to raise our children. For others, we were in search of a family and we found it here. We each have reasons why we entered the space of this community, and we each have reasons why we continue to be a part of it. We love to sing, we love to search for meaning, we love the community, we love to educate ourselves and our children. We need inspiration and community that says, hey, we got this, when we are weary and in need of rest. That's why we had 5 new members join today. They were each seeking something more in their lives. I'm going to take a guess, 3 of you are millennials, correct? Yes. We aren't the kind of people that join churches, to be totally honest. As a millennial myself, it is very strange. But you were each seeking something a little bit more. One of our new members has been a member of Unitarian Universalist congregations for decades, and upon moving to a new area, it just made sense to join. And finally, one new member was christened here when she was just 4 years old, and this was the year that she wanted to make that next commitment. We each have reasons for joining a faith community, and we each have reasons for staying a part of a faith community, and we each have a reason, I believe, for supporting faith communities. Now, I've been a member of the First Parish Church of Groton since 2004. I joined when I was 17. I think the math works out there for my age, if you ever wanted to guess it. I'm coming up on 20 years of being a Unitarian Universalist. I joined because I sought community after years of being religiously unaffiliated. I stayed a member because I loved the sermons and the rituals. And then I moved away. I went to college and seminary, and I started serving churches full-time in Massachusetts and Kansas and Texas, but I stay a member of that community, sharing some of my time and talent, but these days, mostly my support is in the form of treasure, my money that I give, my pledge. Because I know, and I knew that the members of that church were receiving pastoral care and meals and inspiration even when I wasn't there. I remember sitting next to my grandmother, newly widowed, as she wept during silence, prayer, songs, and sermons. I remember how much that community meant to her. I paid my pledge so that the lonely, the ill, and the grieving would have a place to gather. I paid my pledge and have for years because of that truth that Ada Limon speaks about in her poem. I wanted to learn some new constellations to make sense of the world. I have forgotten the forgotten constellations. I have forgotten that I am made of stardust. And I've also forgotten that I am not an unspectacular thing. I think the double negative there works out to mean that I am a spectacular thing, and so are each of us. And I have decided to love harder and survive more. I support congregational life because of that truth that I am both stardust and something spectacular. I minister because each of us needs to be reminded of those truths, and when we have both of those truths in front of us, it can be a little tough to balance that out. I give to this congregation and my home congregation because I know that we cannot go through life alone. Faith communities such as ours are unique in the world of nonprofit organizations. There is no distinction between member, client, donor, board member, or leader. We are all in this together. When you support First Parish, you're not just supporting the things that you care about. You're supporting the things that other people care about as well. You support us all. Your support provides for the pastoral care you receive in challenging times and the pastoral care of the person next to you in the pew. Your support ensures excellent worship experiences with beautiful music, both for you and the person sitting next to you in the sanctuary or joining online. Your support means that memorial services, weddings, and child dedications are all free for members of our faith community. It means that when you support, This church, you support the children and youth in our community in their religious exploration. A congregation is never truly a singular entity. There is, in truth, no actual thing called the congregation. It is made up of individuals, and you each support and make up the First Parish in Framingham. And this congregation depends deeply on your generosity. I will say this, there are some 1,000 other Unitarian Universalist congregations in our denomination. Reminding others to reconsider the stars, to do acts of greatness so large people will point to our constellations in the sky, and to do smaller acts of greatness as well. A place where love will guide them, a place where we will be blessed with love and amazing grace. And many of those congregations are also in significant financial peril. You've likely heard this year that our congregation has a budget deficit of more than $50,000. We have not felt the full impact of this, partially because of our generosity and other funds that we have. Truthfully, I think we have had this deficit for a while, but we were the recipient of COVID relief funds from the government, as were many faith communities. In my sermon writing group that I meet with every week, a group of 7 other Unitarian Universalist ministers serving across our country, the story that we tell here is no different. There are congregations that have $40,000 deficits, $43,000, $58,000, $60,000. Another congregation lost 20% of their pledging units. I share this with their permission. We are not alone in this struggle, and our communities need us more than ever, and we need our communities as well. I'm not going to sugarcoat this. The ongoing ministry of this church depends deeply on your support. And if it is to remain steady and strong, the shape of this community and the offerings of it, we need to seriously increase our financial commitments, or else there will be programmatic impacts. I cannot predict what those will be. It is not my decision. I invite you to sustain this congregation and to make your support of it one of your larger charitable gifts. Our ask of you is this: if you can, consider increasing your pledge by 10%. An increase across the board by this amount will still leave us with an estimated $30,000 deficit, but we want our increases to be sustainable. And if that seems like a lot, don't think of it on a yearly basis. Think of that increase on a weekly basis, or however frequently you contribute. If you can increase by this amount, we're grateful for your generosity. If you cannot increase and you plan to donate at the same level as last year, we are so grateful for your generosity. If you need to reduce your pledge, we are grateful for your generosity. If you can increase your pledge by more, we are so grateful for your generosity. Don't feel like you need to be taking notes on this. The Canvas team will be sending out information soon. But in spite of all of this, and perhaps because of all of this, I remain hopeful. Why? We had 5 new members join today. Worship attendance has been steady. We have an active and engaged board and a creative staff. Because there is a buzz I feel in this place when I come in on Sundays or in the middle of the week. All of the people that I speak with about this congregation, no one seems ambivalent about it. We all care about it. We do so much good in Metro West. We speak up to injustice. We work to teach others English. We feed those who need food. We make sure that babies have clean diapers. We educate our children so that they might move through life wisely and well. I remain hopeful as well because of our youth. They are here to support their church as well. A week ago now, I got an email from our treasurer saying that our youth had decided to donate $3,000 from their funds, of their money that they raised over the course of many years. They still have money to do what they want to do, don't get me wrong. But they have donated $3,000, hard-earned through bake sales and other fundraisers. They decided, actually, we have enough in our fund to do what we want to do. Our church community needs it as well. $3,000 to our faith community, to their faith community. What if we consider that to be a match, as an inspiration for every $1 that they have given to our church? Perhaps we can increase our pledges as well. My friends gathered here, we are love's hands in the world. We say it doesn't matter who you are, who you love, how you move around in the world. It doesn't matter your gender, your identity. You matter and you are loved. This is so countercultural in today's world, and it need not be. This is the power of love. Do you feel it? It is here amongst us now. May all of our actions be for love's sake. Amen. Let us now rise in body or spirit to sing hymn number 1008 in the turquoise hymnal. The title is actually When Our Heart is in a Holy Place, not, as I wrote in the order of service, When Our Heart is a Holy Place, though that's interesting theology too. Let us sing with gusto. Place, and our heart is in a holy place. We are blessed with love and amazing grace, and our heart is in a holy place. Every gospel wisdom teach of us, every color, every creed and line, every sing of praises in each other's hearts, and our heart is in a holy place. And so as we leave this sacred space, this holy place, let us take the light of love out into the world and use it to brighten our pathways. And when we need to rest or recharge, be challenged or affirmed, may that light guide us safely back. May we hold the light always, and the light hold us always. Amen, and go in peace.